The wind howled over the high desert like a mother mourning her child. Distant dust devils danced across the horizon under a bleeding sunset sky, and cutting through the silence came a lone rider hat, low coat, heavy with trail grit, a shadow stitched from sorrow and dust. His name was Eli Booker. For days he'd ridden, sleep stolen in patches under twisted mesquite. His horse limped from cactus thorns and long hours. But Eli didn't stop, not with that letter burning a hole in his saddlebag, a scrap of paper soaked in time and blood. He's in Dust Creek. Name's Finch, the one who killed your wife. No signature, no return address, just pain. Sealed in silence, Eli's jaw was clenched like iron as he passed the creaking signpost into Dust Creek, a town where men aged faster and women stopped waiting. Saloons flickered with lamplight. Lawmen stayed indoors after sundown, and yet everyone noticed when Eli dismounted because they'd seen that kind of walk before. The kind of walk that left someone else buried by morning. He didn't check into the inn. He didn't speak to the stable hand. He walked straight through town, past whispers and slammed shutters, until he reached an old hunting cabin on the outskirts, the one marked on the back of the letter. Half its roof sagged. The front porch was missing 2 planks, but someone lived there. A thin trail of chimney smoke clawed upward into the dusk. Eli drew his revolver. He stepped through the crooked doorway. Dust swirled in shafts of failing light. No movement, no sound, except a soft whimper. His eyes darted to a wooden crate beside the hearth. Inside, swaddled in a frayed wool blanket and lined with hay, lay a baby, no more than 6 months old. Cheeks flushed, eyes wild with fear. A crust of milk dried at her lip. Eli stared. The grip on his revolver loosened. His breath came sharp. He'd never held a child before, not his own. He and Sarah had tried. God knows they'd tried. But the raiders came first. A voice behind him broke the moment. Didn't expect you so soon. Eli spun, gun raised, but froze when he saw the speaker. Finch, grizzled, unarmed, staring at Eli like a man already buried. You came to kill me, Finch said. Can't say I blame you. Just leave her out of it. Eli's voice cracked. Your daughter? Finch nodded. Didn't know she'd be born. Her ma passed last spring. Wasn't meant to be like this. You want justice? I won't fight. Just. She don't deserve the weight I carry. The gun trembled in Eli's hand. His heart beat thunder into his ears. He had imagined this day so many times. The moment when he'd see the man who ripped Sarah away. He'd pictured blood. He'd written his speech. But nothing in those dreams had prepared him for this. A killer holding a baby in one hand, and surrender in the other. The child let out a soft hiccup, her eyes wide and silent, locked with Eli's, and he saw something else. Not just what was lost, but what might still be saved. Night came down heavy over Dust Creek, bringing with it the kind of darkness that made a man believe in ghosts. The baby finally slept. Nestled in a drawer, Eli had padded with Finch's tattered bed linens. Her tiny hands clutched the edge of the fabric like they were holding on to the world itself. Outside, thunder grumbled along the spine of the hills. The air smelled of copper, juniper, and something more ominous, like old sins stirred up by storm winds. Eli sat across from Finch, who was now tied to a crooked kitchen chair with a frayed length of rope. His hands were blistered from years of rough work, but they didn't tremble. His eyes, pale, tired, stared down at the floorboards like he was already underground. Talk, Eli said. Finch looked up slowly. About what? About why? About Sarah. Finch winced like her name was a bullet. I didn't know her name that day. Just knew she screamed for help when she saw us. I was with a raiding party. Young, drunk, high on war and liquor. We were told to hit the wagons, take what we needed. No one said kill. Eli's fists clenched. But you did, I thought. She was going for a gun. I was wrong. She screamed your name, Eli. I never forgot it. Lightning lit the cabin, and for a second the room looked like it was on fire, every shadow sharp, every breath a memory. Eli stood, chest heaving. The gun was still holstered at his side, but his hand itched to draw. You want me to feel sorry for you? No, Finch rasped. I want you to do what you came for, but not in front of her. Not with her cry being the last thing I hear. The baby stirred. Eli looked toward her, then away, jaw tight. He turned and walked out into the storm. The wind tore at his coat. Rain slicked his face. He fell to his knees in the mud beside a dying mesquite and pounded the earth with both fists, his scream drowned by thunder. It wasn't just grief. It was the weight of every sleepless night since Sarah died, every silent supper, every empty dream. He'd carried her death like a second spine. Now he didn't know what to do with his hands. He sat on the porch, soaked breath slowing. That's when he saw the figure approaching out of the dark, tall, cloaked in a blanket, moving like smoke. The man stopped under the porch awning and lowered his hood. His face was marked with wind and time. A single black feather hung from his ear. Name's Gray Elk, he said. Saw your fire. The pass behind you's flooded. You're stuck here till morning. Eli stared at him, unsure, but something in the man's eyes, a deep, unspoken ache, made him nod inside. Gray Elk entered wordlessly, removed his soaked blanket, and squatted near the hearth. His presence shifted the air. The baby, sensing something ancient in the room, opened her eyes, but didn't cry. Gray Elk walked over and lifted her in his arms, careful, reverent. What's her name? He asked. She ain't got one, Eli replied. She should, Gray Elk said, gently rocking the child. No one should enter this world nameless. Eli watched him in silence. You, a father? He asked. Gray Elk nodded. Once she was born in winter. Her mother bled too much. I buried them both before the thaw. The room went still. Eli swallowed hard. You ever stop wanting revenge on the world? Revenge is a road with no water. You walk it long enough, it kills you before the sun does. Later, as the rain softened, Finch whispered hoarsely, What are you gonna do come morning? Eli didn't answer right away. He looked at the baby in Gray Elk's arms. Her breathing was even, peaceful, innocent. I don't know, he finally said. You could kill me, Finch said, and I deserve it, but she don't. Eli stepped closer, looking down at the man. You get to live because of her. Don't mistake that for mercy. Finch nodded. I never thought I'd have anything worth protecting. That girl changed that. Funny, huh? It took a life to make me value one. Lightning cracked again. In the corner, a box creaked. A mouse scurried. The wind moaned against the boards. Eli felt something shift in his chest. Not forgiveness, not yet, but a loosening, like some knot deep inside had started to come undone. At dawn, the rain stopped. The desert, washed clean, gleamed, like glass dot, but the road behind them, gone, flooded into canyon muck. The only way now was forward. The dawn came slow and pale, a soft veil of light stretching over the hills like it didn't want to disturb what the night had broken. Eli stood outside the cabin, the baby cradled in one arm, her head resting against his shoulder. He'd wrapped her in a fresh blanket. Gray Elk had given him patterned wool, with red chevrons and a stitched sun. She looked warm, safe, unaware that everything around her was hanging on the edge of a gun. Finch stepped out onto the porch, hands bound in, front with rope. His eyes were clearer this morning, or maybe just resigned. He didn't look like the same man Eli had dreamed of killing. He looked like someone who'd already died and just hadn't stopped breathing yet. Gray Elk waited by the horses, silent as stone. Eli turned to Finch. There's no sheriff in Dust Creek worth trusting. I'll take you to Fort Augustine. U.S. Marshal rides circuit there every new moon. You gonna tell M what I did? Finch asked. Every word. Finch nodded. Reckon that's fair. A pause. What about her? He added, glancing toward the baby. Eli didn't answer right away. He looked down at her small fingers curled against his coat, her mouth twitching in a dream. She stays with me. You'd raise the daughter of the man who took everything from me. Eli finished for him. Maybe that's why. The wind picked up, dry now, tugging at his duster. You owe her a life, Eli said. Not just survival, a life. You don't get to give it, but I do. Finch looked like he might cry, but he didn't. Just nodded, jaw clenched. They saddled up. Finch was tied to the rear of Gray Elk's horse. Eli rode with the child strapped against his chest. She didn't cry, just watched the world from behind tired eyes, as if she already knew it was cruel, but worth staying in anyway. Halfway to town, they passed a half-collapsed church, its cross leaning like it had lost faith. Eli slowed. I want to stop here, he said. Gray Elk said nothing, just dismounted and waited. Inside the church, sunlight spilled through broken stained glass, painting the dust with shards of red and blue. A single pew stood upright. The altar had a long-forgotten Bible, swollen with moisture and mouse-nibbled pages. Eli stood in the center. This is where Sarah prayed, he said quietly. Before we left town, she sat right there, said if anything ever happened to her, she hoped I wouldn't become like the men who did it. Finch looked down. I didn't listen to her, Eli added. Not until now. He walked toward the altar, slowly, unholstered his revolver, laid it on the Bible. You're not dying today, Finch, he said, but you'll carry her memory, and that child's future, both. That's your punishment. Finch's lips trembled. Thank you. Don't, Eli said sharply. Don't thank me. Gray Elk stepped forward with a chain from his saddlebag. They shackled Finch's wrists and legs, not cruelly, but firmly. Then they rode the final mile into Dust Creek. The townsfolk stared, first at Eli, then at Finch, then at the baby. Sheriff Tully met them at the jailhouse steps, rifle in hand and a nervous twitch in his right eye. What, in God's name? His name's Finch, Eli said. He killed Sarah Booker. I'm bringing him to Fort Augustine to stand trial. Tully hesitated. That baby yours? She is now. Eli didn't wait for permission. He stepped into the jailhouse and led Finch into a cell, locking it behind him. The key he handed to Gray Elk, with a nod of trust forged in storm and silence. Outside, folks murmured. Dust swirled in tight little circles, unsettled. Eli turned to face the town. This baby's name is Hope, he said loudly. She didn't ask to be born into this, but she will grow up knowing grace, not guns. Peace, not vengeance. A hush settled. Someone tipped their hat. Another nodded solemnly. Gray Elk mounted his horse. You ride well, he said to Eli, but it's how you stop that matters more. Eli gave a half smile. You headed back north. Gray Elk shrugged. Wherever the wind don't carry guilt. He rode off, leaving only hoofbeats and a whisper of presence behind him. Later that evening, Eli stood at Sarah's grave. He laid a new marker beside it, smaller. Simple wood carved with one word: hope. Between them, he buried something he hadn't touched in 2 years, Sarah's locket. Inside, he had placed one of the baby's first tears, dried on cloth, a symbol of grief and of healing. He didn't cry, he just breathed, for the first time in what felt like a lifetime, without bitterness. The stars came out, one by one, the desert wind softened, and Eli Booker sang softly, a tune Sarah once hummed in the evenings, about a river that carried sorrow out to sea. Asterisk if this story stirred something in your soul. Leave your thoughts in the comments. Like and subscribe. for more forgotten frontier tales that still echo in the dust.